What up, people? How you doing? It's almost game time. I'm here, AJ the Suburban Princess here, broadcasting from my living room simply because I'm a little nervous about this game. I'm excited at the same time because I feel like they might have knocked down the fourth wall. We do not know. I will be multitasking as I'm going live simply because I just know there's people out there probably fiddle bobbing on Twitter or whatever and just talking amongst themselves. But I think at this point, we all have to realize that this is a very important game. And I'm going to leave the comments open because, in case people are bored and want to chat, and we can, you know what? I need to change that background because that's Matisse and he is not on the team. So I will sort of leave the MVP banner up since Joel Embiid is still our MVP, even though some people are doubting already. But again, MVP was for regular season, so let's just leave that there. And I'm at this point now where I decided, well, I didn't really feel like I kind of got all my emotions out about the NFL draft on my last Birds of a Feather, the co-ed edition. So I decided I'm going to kill time before this game stresses me out and discuss how fabulous the Eagles did on the draft. Also, the Phillies are playing now. There's a lot going on, people, in the Philadelphia tri-state area right now. We got a lot of sports going on. We got a lot of stuff about to pop. Now that the Sixers are back in Boston for game 5, this could be a do or die type of game. A lot of things can be determined after this game, even though they still come home for game 6. Now that they've split it 2-2. Hell, last night or the other night, I think it was last night, the Suns tied it with the Nuggets. So at this point, everybody's going 2-2. It's a thing, honey. But if not, it's also looking good for our former Sixer, Jimmy Butler, and the Heat, who are pretty much single-handedly um, breaking down a team that people thought was going to give them fits. But Jimmy is focused, and now his team is up 3-1, and he ain't scared of nobody. He has been up against the Lakers before in the bubble. If anyone remembers, a lot of people have been flashing on Twitter the year that Jimmy was looking like a hobo with the hair grown in, and everybody's hair was looking crazy because obviously you had limited exposure to barbershops unless you were on campus on the bubble at that time because, we were just fresh in the midst of COVID and then the lockdown. So, but at this point, Jimmy is pretty much handing his opponents the L, and obviously you can tell I just forgot who they're playing against at this point, but they're 3-1, so it really doesn't matter. I mean, at this point, I think that anything that Jimmy's doing now is he's on a mission. He's always been on a mission, and the constant going back on Twitter about how why did the Sixers let him go? I know we all agonize it, especially now because the Sixers kind of barely won that game, but it was a great overtime finish. I didn't watch all of it, and I refused to watch too much of it because I was at the Phillies game that are on now. I was at the Phillies game they were playing against the Red Sox on Sunday. And so now that I know, as me and my mother both were walking to the train, walking from the subway to the train back home. By the time I got to Wawa, that's when they ended up in overtime. So as I was listening to Tom McGinnis, I think it is on 97.5, it became very refreshing to know that they even had a shot. But again, as a fan, you criticize and you think, well, why did they have to go to overtime in the first place? I mean, they beat this team before the first game out. So, but obviously defense has been a factor and that's been lagging on the Sixers side. And that's why with the Celtics also having better shooters, consistent shooters, and the Sixers not knowing pretty much who to go to and have them shoot consistently every night. Um, it's a miracle that it's 2-2. I mean, let's be honest, because Celtics, even though I don't think they're that great of a team, they have what the Sixers are lacking, which is consistency in shooting and good defensive strategy. and good spacing, because obviously that was the issue as to why Harden played his heart out this past game and then kind of went out cold 2 and 3. Obviously, Embiid is still dealing with the LCL injury, but he's played hurt every year. And at this point, I think he's just used to being hurt. But I don't think that his confidence stayed intact during this last game, because not only did it physically start to wear on him, I think it started to make everybody realize that overtime games are never fun in the playoffs, because you already are giving so much in regulation that the last thing you want to do is extend it. But in their case, they needed overtime because they lost another lead. So now that I've seen enough highlights that I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't go to that game. I'm glad I haven't gone to a playoff game yet, because I would not want to deal with that stress. I don't even know if I would want to stay and watch the overtime portion of the game, because I wouldn't, little part of me wouldn't have that faith that they could get through if they were struggling just to even tie the game in overtime. I mean, let's just be real. The reality of the situation is Eagles versus Sixers right now. The Eagles have beat down that fourth wall of full confidence in being a strong team and a strong contender coming in their new season, especially with obviously with the draft, the way it it's shaking out. Their defense will definitely get a lift. And unlike with basketball, you're not going to switch too many people and have a whole new defensive strategy. Like, it's going to pretty much be the same guys, with the exception of some guys on your bench. I think the Eagles obviously have a lot more confidence, even more so now in their defense, because they have some young blood. Some guys may not be starting right away, but you never know. This Thursday is supposed to be the schedule release, so it'll be nice to know that the schedule will release this week, as we're kind of hunkering on Game 6 back at home with the Sixers. So everything is kind of overlapping, and then looks like the Phillies are already down 1-0. Nola is the pitcher, and this is the Blue Jays, so it could be here nor there. I've always said I don't have that much faith in Nola. I'm sorry. He's very shaky to me. I don't think he's always 100% reliable to get through like a sixth inning, sometimes maybe earlier. And I think the reason why they didn't pick up his other option or extend him is because they know that too. But who do you replace Nola with, though? And who's going to take him, especially with the price tag or whatever other intangibles that could possibly come with trading him. But we all know that this Phillies team could definitely get stronger. Someone pointed out, obviously last year wasn't their strongest in the beginning either, and they ended up in the World Series. So you just never know what this Phillies team can have happening, especially with Bryce already back in the roster as quick as this weekend during the Boston Red Sox series. Even though they didn't do that great, I was very happy to see him in the lineup when we went on Sunday, and even for him to just even hit a base hit was great, and to see Castellanos hitting a double like he's been doing. And I've been very critical of him too, because I just thought his head's not in it. Maybe the dude is just kind of, piecing himself into the, oh, look who's here. Hi, there's my co-ed.
Oh.
Well, hello there. Welcome, sir.
How's it going? Are you ready to be stressed out tonight?
Yeah, you see me. I'm killing time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the co-ed edition once again, impromptu. Eddie B is back. He's got his 76ers on. I don't have a hat. My hair is going through an in-between stage, so I can't put no hat on this head right now.
Oh, nah. I know what you got to do.
Well, I've been talking to myself now out loud because I've been trying to reason why I don't have faith in Nola right now, because the Phillies are playing too. So we got a lot of stuff going on at the same time. The Phillies are playing. Sixers are about to play. Is this a TNT game or ESPN game? I forgot.
Good question. It may be
adjusting here. I feel like it might be because it's tip off, so it's a TNT game tonight. Either way, I think that's why they were saying today on Best Show Ever. I think Tyrone was saying he goes, I'm hoping that they'll be up by like 20 or no, he said that he thinks Embiid will have 20 and 8 by halftime. And then he said at halftime he's not going to listen to the commentary with Charles and the rest of them. So I understand that because usually that's the time when I get up and either decide to start walking around or whatever, or start like celebrating or agonizing or scrolling Twitter.
Oh yeah.
You know, most of the time I like to live tweet, as most people know who are on Twitter. It's kind of exciting to live tweet from time to time until it gets very bad, and then you kind of have to pull back because people get very doom and gloom very often, and then you kind of just have to take a pause.
Yeah, they do. They get negative real fast. So it's like, all right.
It's very easy for us to get squeamish, Eddie, as you realize. We know in this city how quick it is to jump off the bandwagon when we're looking crappy. Now you watched the game Sunday. I mean, was it Sunday? I'm losing track.
I watched most of them. Remember, I had to go. I went to a movie too. So.
Oh yeah, you went to see what?
I saw. Yeah. I saw most of it though. I saw half of it.
Yeah. So, did you feel like when you were shocked when you realized that they were tied and going in overtime? What did you feel like?
Yeah, I was like, wow, they took their foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, like, oh. That's what I thought.
So that was the thing there. I was like, oh, what's going on? And then I was like, I got nervous because it didn't say a time; it just said OT, and it had it with Boston being up, and then it was like, and then it showed it again, and then the Philly was up. I was like, oh, okay, there's not showing. It's not showing a clock.
Right. Yeah, because you're in OT, yeah. And I had the radio on because at that time we were en route, and I was taking the wheel from the train station, and I wanted to go to Wawa and get a smoothie. And I was like, I had the radio on 97.5. I was just saying earlier with Tom McGinnis, and I was glad I was getting out the car because my mom was on the phone with my sister on speakerphone. And as soon as I left, I was like, all right, they're in overtime. I said, this is what I didn't want. So then I go into Wawa. By the time I come back out, my mom's like, can you believe they won? And I'm like, I was like, thank God. I was like, I knew that was going to happen.
I was trying not to be that ignorant person looking at their phone in the movie theater.
Especially if your brightness is too bright and you clearly are on your phone.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't that bright, so I could just look just to see the score real quick.
It's hard not to look. I mean, even if you had plans, it's like you want to know at least where they're at a certain point.
Yeah.
All right. With them being, I'm gonna stop talking now because the game's about to kick off. But I wanted to basically say, because I just saw the 4th and John guys were live because they were discussing the numbers that are being dispersed to the Eagles crew, and I said all I know is Agent Zero is DeAndre Swift. That's probably the coolest one out of the whole bunch already.
Yeah. The first time they used
it was fun. But anyway, all right, well, we're gonna go. I'm glad you joined. I don't know if I'm gonna do one after this game if I still have the will. But anyway,
let's hope we do.
Let's hope we're gonna go for a win. I'm hoping for positive vibes. I say by 5 points if they win tonight. And
this is gonna be a drag down fight, like all these rest of these games. They're gonna be. So expect to get some anxiety.
Yeah, I might have to as much as I'm not supposed to be drinking any acidy drinks tonight, I said I might be doing a swig of the Mike's Hard Lemonade a couple times tonight.
Okay. Nice.
I'm down. But all right, enjoy and go Sixers.
Go Sixers.
And go home. Bye, homie.
Yep. Bye.
Thanks for watching, y'all. Holla.